Yes. So most small business owners know that they need a website, but they don't know what's involved in the project or how to wrap their head around it. I've created this video to be an executive summary of all of the moving parts of what you need to understand in order to engage in getting a website built, whether you choose to do it yourself or hire somebody to do it for you. So let's go through a quick rundown. First, why a website even matters. A lot of times when I speak to small business owners who are in their first few years of business, they will say, I'm running with a Facebook page or something on a social media site, and they feel that their social media account is enough. It's not. You don't own it. The algorithms can change, you lose your traffic, or your posts stop being promoted out to the people who have clicked subscribe or follow or what have you. As well, for search engine optimization, if you want to actually start showing up in the search results when people are searching for your products and services or the services that solve the problem that they have, your website is what is going to be the single source of truth for your location, your business hours, all of those critical details, as well as in many cases, your offers and the things that you have for sale. And you own it, which means that you can control the narrative, whether it's coming up in ChatGPT or other AI bot search or on traditional Google search. It also matters because it builds trust. It builds trust with your audience and potential clients and customers. They can trust you, that your business is legitimate, that it has its things together, and that the information that is on your website should be correct and they can rely on it so they don't drive all the way across town just to find out that the business is closed. Your website can also generate leads for you, and this can be through something as simple as a contact form or through email, mailing lists, signups, that kind of thing. It has your contact information on it and a way to contact people. If you get into email marketing, that means that you then have a list of names and email addresses so you can contact those people when you're running a promotion or a sale such as Black Friday or any other promotional seasons of the year. And that helps get the word out to people who already know, like, and trust your business. Your website can also be built to take bookings such that it eliminates the need for the extra admin time and one of your staff members managing all of that when people can go in and self-serve their appointments. Think, for example, booking a dentist appointment, booking a hairstyling appointment, those kind of things, or even just initial sales calls if your business model requires sales calls at the beginning of an engagement or a customer relationship. Those can be booked. People can see what's available on the calendar and book themselves in. It becomes automated, which saves you money and time, and your staff time as well. And then it's always on. So even off business hours after 5 o'clock on a regular work day, the website is still there. So if somebody is looking to book an appointment or get information at 10 o'clock at night because they're trying to figure this out just before they go to bed because it's the last moment of the day that they've had to sort out their personal things or what have you, your information is available for them. So that's why the website matters. Moving on. Key decision checklist that things that you need to have an idea of before you go into creating a website or building one. First, you want to decide on the purpose and goals of the website. For the majority of small business owners that I work with, the main purpose and goal of their website is simply to just generate more leads, customers, and revenue. And that's the number one goal across the board. Sometimes different business models will also want brand authority, audience trust, building their audience, all of those sorts of things, but it all comes back to the revenue goal in the end. So what is the goal that you have in terms of how many leads or sales or what have you would you like to see come from having a website built? Then you need to think about your budget. So your website can run anywhere from a $1,500 DIY build to tens of thousands of dollars for something very complicated. It has a lot of funnels or sales integrations, etc. There is a sweet spot for every business that will match the website that's created to the business's goals and needs, but you also need to know what your internal budget is and what size of a website you're looking for. Then we look at timeline. So when do you need this website launched? If you needed the website launched yesterday, you're going to pay rush fees in order to get it out, unless you have somebody who's an in-house designer that can do this for you quickly. From there, then after usually most lead times for a website project, once the project is booked and actually started, it can take 4 to 8 weeks typically for most small business websites to be built. However, many reputable designers have a bit of a waiting list because they already have projects booked. So that's the piece, is the lead time up until projects start. And the ongoing management of the website. Many websites in the past were set it and forget it. They didn't make a lot of money for the business owners. So you have to think about the website as a living and growing marketing asset that will change and evolve over time, and also, is depending on which platform you put it on, will need software updates, security updates, and those sorts of things to think about. If you want to DIY your management of the website in the long term, that's cool. Make sure to choose a website platform that will include a lot of that for you in your subscription and support. And if you have someone in-house then doing it, or someone that you want to contract to do that, then it would be included in their ongoing fees. And then the platform that you want to put it on. If you are going to DIY it, you need to make this full decision yourself. And I would suggest you an all-in-one platform if your primary work is not web design or web development. If you are ready to hire somebody to do it for you and you have very complex needs, you can look at more complicated platforms that take management over time. The majority of small business owners I see are more than well served by an all-in-one platform. I recommend Squarespace. I have played with almost all of the platforms out there and built sites on almost all of the platforms. And time and again, I find that Squarespace is the only one my clients will actually log into and feel confident making changes on their own without breaking the design and the flow of the website, and without having to call me to help them. All right, moving on from there. The 5 steps of building a website. So let's talk about what a website process looks like, a project looks like, the stages that you go through, so you can wrap your head around what happens during that 4 to 8 week process. Starts with strategy and planning, which for my clients is usually an in-depth phone call meeting that we have with any team members or stakeholders on deck. In the meeting, we discuss the whole thing. It's recorded. We nail out the page list, the user flow, so what pages click to what, as well as, who's responsible for what throughout the project. Sometimes having people in-house responsible for like photography or sales copy, the actual written copy that's on the website is the way you do it. And sometimes that gets delegated to me as the digital strategist, web designer. Those things get hammered out. Then we move into the branding and design phase. So a website needs to match your business and it needs to match your brand. If you have a bunch of your branding done already, then this becomes a very short process. If all you have is a logo and we have to build it from there, there's a little bit more involved. Then once we have the visual direction figured out, we move into content and sales copy. So that's your images, your videos, your sales copy and text, the actual written words that are on the page. I often will do consulting or feedback on that in order to help my clients make sure that it follows a proper sales process, because the majority of my small business owner clients, well, they're really great at selling their own stuff in person. Once you come online and have to put together a proper sales pitch and those kind of things, and the way that websites work, having somebody that knows that structure can be a real asset to making sure that the website is going to achieve the goals that we set out to do. Then there's the build and the tech setup, which is the part most people actually think about when they think about building a website. So they'll build, for my clients, all of the pages, the global site parts like the nav bar and the footer and all of those pieces. And then the tech setup has to do with integrating to the different softwares that you would use. For most of my clients, that includes email marketing integration, their scheduler or calendar, and maybe one or two other softwares, assuming they have like a project manager or something like that they want the website to talk to in order to reduce the amount of manual labor that's associated with their sales process. And then the fun part, we're ready for launch. So launch, everything goes live. We let it breathe for a little bit. We work out any last minute bugs that might have been found once everything goes live. And then we do the training. So I will train you or your staff on how to use your website, how to edit your website, things that you need to know now that you own a website and that you're responsible for, from security updates and, privacy legislation and all of those things. So that's your general lay of the land for how a website process goes. Jargon buster. So the next thing a small business owner gets overwhelmed with very quickly is all of these different words that web designers and developers are going to throw around. And if you haven't seen these before, they can be kind of confusing. So a domain is your web address or your URL. That's your www dot whatever. Your registrar is an accredited company that sells and leases those domain names, the www, to you for a period of time. They are controlled through a WHOIS organization so that the internet remains safe and organized, etc., as best we can. Hosting is rent. So a website is a packet of files, effectively, HTML, PHP, code files. They need to be stored somewhere. So just like your photos are stored in your Google Drive, for example, your website files are stored on your host's server, server is just a fancy word for a computer that serves up your website files to the internet 24/7, so you don't have to leave your machine on 24/7. And then when you rent your hosting from a hosting company, that also means that their service level agreements will have 99% or more uptime, for example. So you don't have to worry about your website going down or any of those things. They just handle it for you. Then we have SEO, which is short for search engine optimization. And we also have GEO, which is generative engine optimization, where we're now also starting to not just optimize for Google search, but optimize for AI search as well. Search engine optimization will help you set up your website so that both robots can read it and serve it up in their search results and understand what your website is about, as well as live users, humans who come to the front end of the website can see it and understand what it's about. And then generative engine optimization now is the new angle that everyone is looking at, because 1 in 8 people at this time in fall 2025 are searching on ChatGPT or other AI platforms before they even go to Google. It's the first time that Google has actually seen a dip in their 90% plus usage rate for search across all searches. So it's becoming more important and the landscape is shifting. Okay, moving on. A CMS is short word for content management system. That's the platform that you host your website on or build it on. So you've got Squarespace, you've got WordPress, you've got Wix. Those are all called a CMS. And responsive just means that it works on all devices and looks pretty on all devices. In the past, that meant that we had to code and build the site 2 or 3 times so that we had a version of the site for mobile, a version of the site for tablet, and a version of the site for desktop. Now we have more fluid site designs that change as things go, and responsive is a little bit easier and still very nuanced. Okay, moving on. Common pitfalls. These are the common mistakes I see small business owners make when they come to me to fix their website. First off is they've waited too long to invest, and you'll never know the lost sales and growth that you've missed out on. They usually end up coming to me, and their complaint or pain point at this stage is that customers said that they almost didn't work with me because I didn't seem legit because I didn't have a website. So that's that problem. Underestimating the time and resources. So they think that it's fairly easy to put a website together, start to DIY it, and then they get frustrated, there's delays, it's too difficult to put it together, they're struggling with something that's not their expertise, therefore wasting time, and time is money. So oftentimes it's the mistake there is they come to me and they're like, can you straighten this out because I tried and I can't make it pretty myself. And not having clear goals. So we've all seen the beautiful websites that don't actually convert anything. And when I work with clients, I tell them, look, I'm not trying to win design awards. I am trying to win you new business. And that comes from having the strategy and the goals mapped out in the beginning, as we did when we went through the phases of the website build, and then ignoring ongoing SEO. So it will look great at the beginning. And the thing to understand about search engine optimization is that it builds over time, and it's a reputation almost that you have to build with the robots and Google and other search engines. That domain authority, it's another jargon word, is built over time by having consistent information across business directories, your website, having a website that is coded properly for search engines in order to index it so they understand what it's about. Because a search engine's job is to serve up the best results to the searcher's query or question or search. And your website won't be the best answer unless it's done correctly in a way that the search engines can understand it and trust it. So that's that. Next, after launch. So things to think about ongoing with a website. So once it's built and it's launched and everybody's had the party and we're happy, you do want to keep your content fresh. For most people, that usually means like a blog of some kind, but you can absolutely rank highly on search engines without a blog. I've seen it happen. You just have to have very strong local search engine optimization. But in either case, you want to make sure that you have an active presence somewhere so that it shows that the business is alive and well and awake and operating. Otherwise, search engines will start to think that maybe it's a dead business. You'll need to handle updates and security. And with Squarespace, for example, the platform I recommend, they handle all the updates and security. So that's done for you and handled that way. Other platforms, you have to handle it yourself. So you just need, that is a checkbox that you need to decide when you're deciding platforms to go through. Things like WordPress, you need to handle the updates and security yourself or hire someone to do so. And then you're also going to want to track analytics. So I get my clients to let their website usually live for 3 to 6 months. And then we go and take a look at what the data tells us about how users and search engines are using the site, indexing the site, the behavior on the site, and then that's where it gets fun for me because we start tweaking it to get better results so that you get more leads and sales for your business. And then planning for growth, meaning more pages, more blog posts, that kind of thing. What kind of pace do you want to keep for the expansion of the website over time? Okay, and I think that's it. Those are the main things you need to think about before engaging in a website project. If you want information on that, I have a free roadmap at lauranurse.com/free-roadmap, and it will go through all of this and more in detail with a workbook. So you can write down your thoughts as you're going, which will help ensure that when you do engage a web designer or one of your team members or yourself to build a website for your business, that you've got all the initial things thought through and decided upon in order to get the project off the ground, get started on the right foot. Thanks so much. Bye.